Superman and Fantastic Four are two different types of superhero movies. The main thing these two movies have in common is that they're apology tours for other bad movies. The only reason I'm comparing them here is because these movies released within a week of each other. If you don't think that's fair, come kill my cousin about it. With that said, I'll be splitting this video up into sections so you can avoid spoilers or skip right to the movie you really care about. After spoiler talk, I'll tell you if each movie is... Let's start off with one that I absolutely adore. I'm one of those fans. I've been reading comics since before I could read, and I've never really had an interest in Superman. To me, a bulletproof Boy Scout that protects the Earth and only stands for everything good was really boring. I was fucking wrong. When Man of Shit came out, I was 11 years old, and that took every bit of goodwill that I had from Saturday morning cartoons and turned me into Syndrome. You should save your dad. You should save the school bus full of drowning kids. You should stop punching your villains into buildings full of people. You should get a job. Stay away from him. The best Superman stories aren't about how strong he is. They're about how Clark protects and inspires those less powerful than him and... No time for that, Goku. And inspires them to do better, to be better, in the face of overwhelmingly impossible odds. Man of Steel and Injustice really kickstarted the evil Superman era, and Homelander, a deconstruction of a character that has been misinterpreted anyways for years, and that left interest in Superman at an all-time low. James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU has a lot of god-posturing, property-damaging dog shit to make up for, and somehow they resolved all my issues with the last 3 Superman movies in one. Homelander no more. From the very beginning of the movie, we're dropped into a situation with just a few lines of text to get us up to speed, and Superman falls into frame in an explosion of snow. The moment the camera settles on him, half dead, whistling for his dog, I'm already sold on David Corenswet as Superman. Not only does he sell the look, but he makes the layers of Clark Kent seem so natural. The superhero who's still figuring things out, the farmer who just wants to save everyone, and the shy reporter in a big city who's a little embarrassed about his humble upbringing. We're nowhere near spoilers. But before I keep talking about Superman, I think you should watch it for yourself if you haven't already. If you're anything like me, you should double check your ticket and make sure you're not seeing Superman. If David Corenswet pulls out a really big plate, you're in the wrong theater. All the casting for this movie is absolute fucking fire. In 2023, the casting announcements for this movie had people waiting with bated breath to see who the next generation of superheroes would be. Nicholas Hoult, who plays Lex Luthor in the movie, was through multiple rounds of auditions for Superman. But somewhere along the line, James Gunn reached out to David Corenswet, an extremely popular fan cast at the time. Within a couple weeks, it was narrowed down to those two, and a week after that, David Corenswet was our new Superman. This was a really exciting era, and one that we're arguably back in now that the DCU is properly taking off. I've been getting really excited about fan casts for Batman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Manhunter, all characters who fit right into this world no matter what tone the story is going for. They should put shit like this on DraftKings. I haven't been able to bet on sports since Anderson Silva snapped his leg in half on live TV. Anyways, the first 30 or so minutes of Superman have terrible pacing. It needed to take that time to reintroduce us to the character. Not a god, but a man with near limitless power who's still figuring out what to do with it. Not only that, but we need to learn the new DCU. Lois, Jimmy, Lex, Baravia, the Fortress of Solitude. It's a lot of ground to cover. I enjoy every second of the ground we're covering, but I can recognize the pacing isn't good. There's a lot going on in this movie, and it respects your intelligence enough not to repeat itself. Metropolis is ripped right out of the books. No longer a normal city with a desaturated New York sunset, but a genuine metropolis, blending colorful modern design with comic flair. The globe has a globe. The Luthor Corps building has 2 big diagonal legs and a command center between them. They look like tourist traps in the real world, but in the DCU, where metahumans have existed for over 300 years, it makes sense that this is just what things look like. And thank God there's saturation. It's not until the Justice Gang show up that the movie can pull back a little bit from world building and find its stride in its main character, Superman. We meet Clark at a dark time, when his morals tell him to do one thing, and the world expects another. Not at all ready to bend the knee, but it may not be up to him. On top of that, Clark hasn't been to Smallville in a while, and his Kryptonian parents' message is incomplete. He fills in the blanks himself, but you can really tell that not knowing the full story gets to him at times. The main cast includes Superman, Krypto, Lois, Jimmy, Lex, the Justice Gang, and a few other characters absent from the marketing. It sounds like a lot to balance, especially with the whole world-altering conflict, but every single one of these characters gets their own time to shine. Jimmy Olsen, who looks exactly the same as he did on Psych 10 years ago, needs to stop fumbling bad bitches. Lois Lane, a city girl, doesn't think a relationship between a city girl and a country guy can work out. She's a ruthless journalist, and he's just trying to do right by everybody. Their chemistry as co-workers and as partners is fantastic.
Say that again?
I even like Clark's biggest hater in The Office. He's really funny. I love this dude on SNL. Speaking of hating, Lex Luthor's energy, his rage, envelops every second of his time on screen. He's rich, he's hot, he's intelligent, yet he looks at Superman and sees everything he's ever wanted, everything that he's not. He needs to kill Superman. The action is dynamic and the camera fucking moves. Every time they switched to the fisheye lens, I sat up in my seat. Clark was on some WWE shit in this movie. That scene with him punching the glass in the first trailer looked goofy when I saw it on my phone, but seeing it on the big screen was a transcendent experience. One thing I really liked in this movie's action is the fact that Superman saves people and animals in between punches and stops to make sure that they're okay. Next to the city flattening action of Zack Snyder's movies, I could really get used to this. Look at this woman's face, bro. They're fucking scared of you. I think it's time for... Discovering the final message from Clark's Kryptonian parents is a little rushed, but that scene is very important to me. He's crushed by the realization that his biological parents aren't who he thought they were. Instead of moping about it though, Clark goes right back to basics. What would Superman do? Because no one gets to tell Clark who he is, and this revelation modernizes Superman. Malik Ali is a character I remembered by name, despite the fact that he only appears in 2 scenes. When he's wheeled in for Lex Luthor's interrogation, it's honestly a little scary. This is a guy we've seen talk to Superman one time, and Lex Luthor now knows everything about him, at least enough to kidnap him and drag him into an interdimensional prison full of pesky reporters and ex-girlfriends. It's an unprecedented level of pettiness and evil, something that really caught me off guard, not to mention the interrogation itself. It's horrifying, it's quick, and it lets Malik haunt the narrative, struggling to quickly get his last words out before he's murdered in front of his hero. The last thing he says, looking into Clark's eyes, is, "Don't tell him anything. I believe in you, Superman." Speed, I'm watching your stream. Why are you trying not to fucking cry, bro? Clark is fucking weeping. Nothing about this bright and overly nice world has even indicated this could happen up to this point. Lex Luthor is a big ball of hate, and he really does feel like a corrupting influence on Metropolis. The Justice Gang fights interdimensional imps in the background with no trouble, and Superman has saved everyone so far, even a dog and a squirrel. To see a villain that cuts through everything positive about this world, to the point where he locks Superman up in prison and murders an innocent man right in front of him, it's shocking, in all the best ways. My envy is a calling. It is the sole hope for humanity, because it is what has driven me to annihilate you. Dude, the heroes of this movie act like heroes, and the villains are on a whole nother level of evil. It's something I didn't expect, and I'm really grateful for. Anthony Carrigan kills the role of Metamorpho.
Everything is so bad!
I wasn't sure it was him at first, because when we first see him, he's aura farming by looking away from the camera. I like how well thought out his powers are too. The bit where he beats up some guards and has to be a floating head for a little while is peak. The CGI on his son is pretty disgusting though. I remember seeing some leaks for Baby Joey toys back in the day, and that's not what I wanted to see in the movie. Once Metamorpho meets up with the Justice Gang, they start to feel more like a team and less like Hawkgirl and her 2 gay dads. Another issue I have with this movie is that Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl does absolutely nothing until she gets one perfect scene. Her final fight scene says more than enough about her character, and I don't agree with people who say the Screech is weird. Her name is Hawkgirl, and I think it makes her look cool. Mr. Terrific is a fucking standout. I like the part where he shows up at the military base and the soldiers just kind of stand around because they can't believe what's happening. Who is this black man with the audacity of a white man? You'd love to see it. Terrific is one of those characters that I would see in the background of superhero shows. I appreciated the design, but I never really had an interest in the character. This movie changed that for me within 5 minutes. When I saw him floating in his goofy chair with the gamer keyboard, I thought, alright, this dude's pretty interesting. And then he gets to talking and he's fucking funny. And he's cool. And he likes to rage bait his husband, Guy Gardner. Real quick, high top in 2025 son, or fuck ass Bob daughter? When he took down that whole military base with his T-balls and made Lois Lane stand inside that bubble, I locked the fuck in. James Gunn excels at directing these fantastical fight scenes with some old music playing. No joke, when I got home from the movie, I booted up my PC and bought Mr. Terrific from the item shop. That's how good he is in this. Lois Lane flying the T-sphere in the last act is really funny. She likes Clark and they're good together, but she doesn't truly understand him until she takes him home and gets to see him in his element where he's nursed back to health by Ma and Pa Kent. She realizes in this moment that the whole Smallville persona is not an act, and he really does care for everybody. Pa Kent has one moment to shine, and he doesn't squander it. He knows right from wrong, and he knows he taught his son the same. So now, back against the wall, moments away from international tragedy, there's only one thing for Superman to do. Superman takes a stance that I don't think anybody expected from a blockbuster movie in 2025. This movie was written in 2023, back when Israel's genocide against Palestine was starting to really ramp up, and it's getting worse every single day. I don't think any other studio could have handled this topic with such tact. Hollywood's ideology usually takes the side of the oppressor, blacklisting anybody who speaks out about the horrors Palestinians face every single day. Superman takes a look at the world we're living in today and decides, all of you are fucking wrong. Killing people for their land is wrong. Killing civilians is wrong. And Superman, the character, acts on that ideal, and the world shuns him for it. Sound familiar? There are several points in the movie where characters say, of course it's bad, but no but. This is about Clark looking at that evil, looking at the people in the center, and letting them know that this is wrong. He changes hearts and minds. I know the message is clear because the right people are mad at this movie. People cheering on the real-life genocide are angry because this movie is supposedly anti-Israel. In the film, the US's ally, who doesn't really seem to do anything in return, is armed and supported by American funds. They want to invade their neighbor, who they've beaten and bombed and repressed into a tiny area. The Justice Gang we meet at the beginning of the movie is content to do nothing. And the moment where Superman has to choose between stopping the Baravian invasion and saving Metropolis from Luthor's earth-shattering portal technology genuinely made my heart sink. He may be fast, he may be strong, but even the Man of Steel can't be in two places at once. The Baravian army swarms in and all hope seems lost. There's even a moment in the movie where a Baravian soldier is about to shoot a defenseless kid and Guy Gardner swoops in and stops it. I fucking cheered. This is the kind of provocative art that elevates Superman from a pretty cool superhero movie into a fucking classic. In a world where leaders just sit back and watch a genocide, Superman is the one to do something about it and empower other people to do something about it too. Inject this shit into my veins. I've read so many posts online from people saying Superman inspired them to be better. And firstly, good for you. Secondly, what the fuck were you doing before? James Gunn obviously had some plans for the engineer that didn't work out. She felt a little underutilized in this movie. She was meant to be in The Authority, but that apparently is canceled, so I'm hoping to see her show up in future stuff. Despite knowing she was around in this universe, the tease of Millie Alcock's Supergirl really caught me off guard, and within 30 seconds I was convinced to go see her movie next year. Gotham makes a brief appearance during the evacuation scene. I like the idea that Metropolis is a happy-go-lucky place that has to evacuate every once in a while, because there's a giant monster that hasn't killed anybody, and the moment you cross over to Gotham, it's like Miami versus Broward County. By the time the credits roll on Superman, you felt emotions you didn't even know you could. Superman is my movie of the year, and my superhero movie of the fucking decade. Do you even have to ask? It's fucking peak. I'm so glad James Gunn got fired from the MCU because Disney would never let him do any of this. Speaking of Disney, oh yeah, I saw this one too. Let me start off by saying that I really wanted to like this one. Fantastic Four has kind of the opposite problem as Superman. The first 45 minutes of this movie are airtight with clean visuals, great characterization, and smooth exposition. We've done this with these characters 4 times now.
Say that again?
I don't understand the hype behind this one because it's kind of boring. I'm not gonna say this is a bad entry to the Fantastic Four verse or even a rough patch for the MCU. It's just another Marvel movie. Marvel's first family is entering the MCU last before Avengers Doomsday. And what they do in their MCU debut is damn near nothing. There's really not much to Fantastic Four unless you're already a fan of these characters. I like that this is an alternate universe with retro-futuristic technology, with no mainline continuity. I'm really into the idea that the Fantastic Four are the only heroes in their world, basically making them world leaders. But after watching their movie, I came away wanting more, and not in a good way. The movie opens with people telling us who the Fantastic Four are, how powerful they are, how important they are, and that is my main issue. Throughout the entire movie, all people do is tell us things. Just show me, and I'll believe you. At least in the intro, we get to see some archival footage. This team has had a bunch of adventures that look, quite frankly, more interesting than this one. The Fantastic Four have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and what they do with that pressure says a lot about them. Let's just get into it. Reed gets to work, and Johnny doubles down on his own plan. Sue helps Reed out, and what I really like about her is that she's just as smart as he is, without all the negativity of being Mr. Fantastic. Reed considers the worst possibilities as a fact and works backwards, while Sue does everything in her power not to consider the worst case scenario. The pacing doesn't allow for Reed to do anything but talk about how bad things could be. That scene where Reed and Sue are arguing is powerful, but it's not backed by much of anything. Just one conversation they have about the possibility of giving up their son. I like the part where the Fantastic Four mobilizes the entire planet to enact Reed's crazy plan. The tension in the countdown is really well executed, and the Silver Surfer being smart enough to destroy the towers at the 11th hour was very cool. Speaking of the Silver Surfer, she's not very interesting. I do what Galactus says. Anything else? Sometimes I don't do what he says. I don't care. The Silver Surfer is not an interesting character. She is the final boss of quiet quitting. I don't love the scene where she talks to Johnny, and I don't like how quickly everyone moves on from the fact that their entire planet-saving plan was just destroyed. It felt very out of character to me for Sue to not push back on the idea of luring Galactus with her baby. She is visibly shaking when she has to leave him behind, and she had already argued with Reed about this exact scenario. Aside from that moment, I think Sue is a standout in this movie. She's the closest it has to a main character. Without Sue there to Solo, that baby would be red paste.
Usually my criticism of movies goes as far as whether or not I had a good time watching it. And while I did enjoy Fantastic Four quite a bit, something didn't feel quite right. The longer I sat on it, the more I realized that it has a glaring issue related to Susan Storm. There's only really one moment in the entire movie that we get a glimpse of who she is outside of being pregnant or a mother, and it's in a flashback explaining her role in the Future Foundation. I'm able to discern that she's kind, a great public speaker, a confident person, and a leader. But that's it, and that's all from one scene. I want to know how she won over Mole Man, the guy who hates her husband but has only kind words for Susan. I want to know why Mr. Fantastic fell in love with her. I want to know why she fell in love with Mr. Fantastic. I want to know what she's scared of. I want to know her flaws. We don't get any of that because almost all of her dialogue is generic stuff any mother would say. Look, our baby is normal. I'm not giving up my child. This tells me nothing about who she actually is. It only tells me what she is, a mother. It gets to a point where just the fact that she is a mother leads to us revealing more characteristics about Mr. Fantastic. Him becoming a father shows us how he tackles a complex situation when he's anxious. It shows us that his coping mechanism for stress is trying to come up with a solution. There's even a scene where he and Sue get into an argument over this aspect of him because she realizes that he considers every possibility, even if briefly, including giving up their child to save the world. Look, I'm not mad that Susan is pregnant. This is something she wanted. We know this because in the first scene of the movie, Susan and Reed talk about how they had been trying for a few years, but it didn't work out, and they learned to be okay with that. But this is better. I wonder what kind of compromises they made when they thought it just wasn't gonna happen. That's the sort of characterization I want. That would have made the first scene feel so much more impactful as an audience member. The movie opens up with Sue realizing she's pregnant. Then in the end credit scene, she is reading to her child. The entire movie, open to close, focuses on this singular aspect of her character and disregards who she might be outside of it.
Yeah, it would be messed up for the world to give away a baby, but hear me out. What has that baby done for the world?
Is this chemistry we have right now?
On that note,
The space sequence is cool, but they completely rush past all these cool visuals because they need to get to Galactus, and then the meeting lasts no longer than 3 minutes. Why are we rushing? I hardly fucking know these guys. The chase sequence that follows is easily the best in the film. It's horrifying. Johnny is out of air, and Sue is in labor. I've seen people hype up the moment where the Silver Surfer is chasing the Fantastic Four through space, and Sue says, "Johnny, kill her," and she fucking means it. This moment is pretty badass, but it's undercut immediately by Johnny protesting. You're Johnny Storm, and Susan Storm says to you, "Johnny, kill her." What do you do? If you guessed what, really? Fuck you. Johnny's really caught off guard, but I think him pushing back on this moment was a mistake. It's a really tense situation where Sue and the baby are in danger after the Silver Surfer tries to reach into her stomach and pull out the baby. This is not the time for Marvel movie dialogue. Let tense moments be tense, please. After asking her one more time if he should do it, Johnny says, "Just when I meet somebody interesting," as he prepares to shoot the Silver Surfer. Dog, just shoot her. The latter line took all the tension out of the air for me in an otherwise perfect moment. Is this the same guy who was gonna die twice for his nephew? The characterization of that relationship just doesn't feel consistent. Marvel humor has reached the end of its rope here. I laughed at the part where Mole Man was talking to Johnny, and he said, "Don't be mad at me, Johnny, I didn't dress you," and Johnny is about to go jump him. It's a good reversal on the rage bait that Johnny likes to do to other people. Nothing else really landed for me. Although I did actually chuckle when Galactus induced labor on Susan Storm.
I'm not ready to give birth.
I am not ready to be born. Before the Fantastic Four return to space, Johnny's the only one who wants to make that return trip. Him getting exactly what he wants should have been a huge moment for the character, but instead we gloss over it because we have to get to Galactus. We have to hurry from point A to point B because the movie has no time to linger on its coolest aspects. Also, all 4 of Earth's protectors need to go leave for a month to make a plea to a guy who can eat planets. Don't think too hard about it. By far the biggest victim of Fantastic Four's terrible pacing is the Thing.
I felt worthless. I felt ugly. I felt...
I like his relationship with Johnny, which is what I call mutual rage bait. Ben's Kirby-era design with the overpronounced eyebrows really let his face tell the whole story. His CGI is really expressive, and there's a tenderness to Ebon Moss's performance as the Thing. This guy won't be deployed to the US military anytime soon. However, in Fantastic Four, Ben doesn't get the chance to do anything. His 3 solo scenes are about staring at Natasha Lyonne, and sometimes he gets to talk to her. Ben's the rock of the family, but that doesn't mean he gets to be boring. Reed Richards in this movie wouldn't work without Pedro Pascal. The character has his moments, but he's not forced outside of his comfort zone nearly enough. His most difficult moments are talking about his intrusive thoughts and bad ideas. The scene where he comes back to Earth after failing to negotiate with Galactus should have been way more tense as reporters ramp up the questions with him. While I do think the scene was good, I think it was missing something really special to elevate it to the heights of the previous chase scene. There are some moments where he gets to shine in this movie, but his role isn't about what he does, it's about what he doesn't do. I like that he's a strong, dependable leader with seriously bad intrusive thoughts, but we never get to see him actually overstep or hesitate because of it. Coming off the sleeper hit of Thunderbolts, I had really high hopes for the next MCU thing, and I came away disappointed. You know how it is. Side note, it was really stupid to leave that baby alone in the tower with Herbie. Why not have the Thing stay up there so at least he could move the baby away if Galactus got close? I don't know. I just think the whole scene at the end was really underwhelming as a climax. It feels like this movie has absolutely no time for any kind of dramatic tension or payoff or build up or anything. You know, it's supposed to be action, reaction, not action, stare blankly into space. I also don't like, what the fuck was that? Did you guys see that? What the fuck was that? The Silver Surfer's sacrifice makes Johnny feel nothing because that's how the character of the Silver Surfer makes everybody feel. This movie has a few moments at the United Nations Charter where they show off the empty Latveria chairs. I thought this was kind of cute. until the mid-credit scene just left me with a bunch more questions. Like, firstly, if they know about Doom, why don't they mention him at all? Why don't they appeal to him? Because he's the kind of guy that you would go to for trying to stop a guy from eating the planet, that kind of thing. If that's not their Doom, do they have a Doom? Or is Latveria just kind of a standoffish country by its own? If you already know the Fantastic Four, you have a favorite, and this movie isn't going to change anybody's mind. Unless you like Ben Grimm, in which case the movie is not for you, and you should go back and watch, like, 2015. No, I'm just kidding. So what do I think of Fantastic Four First Steps?
Gotta say,
It's weak.
Say that again?
it's